The cosmic archives of the Interstellar Xenological Database held few mysteries as perplexing as the planet designated X729 Beta, known to its inhabitants simply as Earth. Marked with a crimson morning that pulsed with digital intensity, it was a world that defied every established principle of planetary habitability. Senior observer Kallax of the Luminary Exploration Course studied the accumulated data with a mixture of professional fascination and deep-seated unease. The planetary scan revealed an environment so hostile that it should have been mathematically impossible to support complex life, let alone an advanced technological civilization. Temperature variations that would shatter the molecular structures of most known species ranged from scorching deserts where surface temperatures could climb to near boiling points, to polar regions that plunged into temperatures so low they approached the threshold of molecular stability. Atmospheric composition fluctuated with wild unpredictability, loaded with reactive compounds that would poison or destroy most biological systems. The geological record was equally terrifying. Massive tectonic plates shifted with violent frequency, creating mountain ranges that erupted from planetary crust in geological heartbeats. Volcanic systems fired with unpredictable fury. Periodic impacts from celestial objects scared the planetary surface, and weather patterns displayed levels of chaotic complexity that made traditional predictive models collapse. Most shocking was the planet's biological ecosystem. Where other worlds showed carefully balanced, gentle interactions between species, Earth presented a nightmare of constant, ruthless competition. Every living organism existed in a state of perpetual conflict, adapting, fighting, consuming, or being consumed. The data showed multiple extinction events that would have permanently destroyed life on any other planet. Yet, somehow, life not only survived, but exploded into even more complex forms. Kallax zoomed into the cellular-level analysis of the dominant species. Humans were a biological anomaly that challenged every known principle of evolutionary development. Their cellular structures demonstrated an impossible level of adaptive plasticity. Where other species would develop specialized adaptations over millions of years, humans seemed to modify their entire biological approach within generations. Their immune systems were particularly extraordinary. Most species developed targeted defensive mechanisms against specific threats. Humans produced complex, adaptive responses that could simultaneously handle multiple wildly different biological challenges. A single human body could potentially neutralize toxins, resist extreme temperature variations, and rapidly heal complex physical trauma, all while maintaining cognitive functionality. The technological development curve was equally mind-bending. Most advanced civilizations took careful, measured steps in technological progression. Humans appeared to leap forward in revolutionary bursts, each technological breakthrough seeming to emerge from a combination of collaborative creativity and an almost irrational drive to overcome limitations. Communication intercepts revealed something even more disturbing. Humans didn't just see challenges as obstacles, they viewed them as opportunities for transformation. Their cultural narratives celebrated individuals and groups that achieved the seemingly impossible. Where other species would retreat or compromise, humans seemed to accelerate their efforts when confronted with extreme difficulties. Kallax's preliminary report would shake the foundations of the Galactic Research Consortium. This wasn't just another planetary species. This was something fundamentally different. A civilization that didn't just survive in impossible conditions, but thrived by continuously redefining the very concept of possibility. The observation team had a term for such anomalies, a Deathworld species. But even that clinical classification felt inadequate. Humans were something more. They were architects of impossibility, turning every limitation into a launching point for unprecedented achievement. As the data continued to stream, Kallax felt something rare for a seasoned sinological researcher, a sense of genuine wonder mixed with a primal hint of anticipation. Whatever humans would become, the galaxy would never be the same. The first human deep space probe represented more than a technological milestone. It was a declaration of cosmic ambition that sent tremors through the carefully structured networks of galactic civilizations. Transmission logs from the Stellar Concordance archives revealed a story of unprecedented acceleration. Most advanced species required thousands of generations to develop interstellar travel capabilities. Humans accomplished this in mere centuries, using an approach that defied every established scientific model of technological progression. The probe itself was a marvel of contradictions. Its design incorporated elements that should have been fundamentally incompatible. Quantum computing algorithms were integrated with biomimetic engineering principles. Materials science techniques blended with seemingly intuitive design choices that broke every standard of spacecraft construction. Senior researchers Zara of the Xenotechnological Research Division spent months analyzing every micron of the probe's recovered fragments. Her preliminary report read like a scientific fever dream. The technological solutions weren't just innovative, they were revolutionary in their fundamental approach to problem solving. Most species develop technology through careful, incremental steps. Humans appeared to leap across technological barriers through a combination of collaborative creativity, interdisciplinary thinking, and an almost reckless willingness to challenge existing paradigms. Where other civilizations saw boundaries, humans saw puzzles waiting to be solved. The probe's navigation system was particularly fascinating. Traditional interstellar navigation relied on precise computational models that mapped gravitational fields, stellar interference, and potential hazards with meticulous calculation. The human approach was different. Their system incorporated adaptive learning algorithms that could instantaneously recalculate routes based on real-time data, treating space navigation as a dynamic living process rather than a static mathematical problem. Communication protocols were equally revolutionary. Most species developed standardized communication systems that prioritized efficiency and predictability. Humans created a transmission method that was simultaneously structured and fluid. Their language algorithms could adapt in real time, creating communication pathways that could interpret and respond to unexpected variables with remarkable speed and complexity. Propulsion technology pushed the boundaries of theoretical physics. The probe utilized a hybrid system that combined traditional reaction drives with experimental quantum momentum technologies. It wasn't just a method of space travel, it was a live experiment in redefining the fundamental understanding of motion and energy transfer. The most shocking discovery came from the probe's data collection systems. Unlike most exploratory vessels that passively gathered information, this human probe actively engaged with its environment. It didn't just observe, it learned, adapted, and transformed its own operational parameters based on encountered phenomena. Galactic research consortiums convened emergency sessions to understand the implications. This wasn't just another species developing space travel. This was a fundamental reimagining of technological exploration. Intercepted human communication logs provided additional context. Their approach to space exploration wasn't driven by traditional motivations of resource acquisition or territorial expansion. It was fueled by an almost philosophical drive to understand, to explore, to push beyond known boundaries. One particular transmission captured the essence of human motivation. A mission control conversation revealed a casual discussion about the probe's potential discoveries, filled with a combination of scientific precision and childlike wonder. "Imagine what we might find," one voice said. "Something no one has ever seen before." The linguistic analysis was revealing. Most species viewed exploration as a strategic imperative. Humans saw it as an adventure, a collective journey of discovery that transcended individual or even species-level objectives. Preliminary projections from the computational prediction matrices suggested multiple potential scenarios for human expansion. Conservative estimates suggested a measured, careful approach to interstellar exploration. More radical models predicted something else entirely, a sudden, explosive expansion that would reshape galactic dynamics. As the first human deep space probe continued its journey, it carried more than scientific instruments and communication systems. It transported something intangible yet profound. a species-wide commitment to pushing beyond known limitations, to transforming the impossible into the possible. The galaxy watched, a mixture of anticipation and apprehension building with each transmitted signal. Something fundamental was changing, and no one was quite sure what would happen next. The Galactic Knowledge Repository contained no precedent for human intellectual development. Where most advanced civilizations developed specialized knowledge systems, humans created something entirely unprecedented. A dynamic, cross-disciplinary approach to understanding that defied traditional academic boundaries. Their educational systems were living networks of collaborative intelligence. A marine biologist might collaborate with a quantum physicist to solve a complex environmental challenge. A musician could develop breakthrough algorithms in computational linguistics. Traditional disciplinary walls dissolved under the relentless human drive to connect seemingly unrelated fields of knowledge. The Xenocultural Research Division discovered something extraordinary about human learning patterns. Most species develop knowledge through incremental, linear progression. Humans processed information more like a complex, adaptive neural network, constantly reconfiguring, challenging, and reimagining existing paradigms. Take the breakthrough in sustainable energy technology. While most galactic civilizations approached energy production as a fixed engineering challenge, humans transformed it into a multidimensional problem-solving exercise. Their solution wasn't just a new power generation method. It was a complete reimagining of how energy could be understood, captured, and distributed. The project began in an unexpected place. A team of environmental scientists worked alongside urban planners, materials engineers, social psychologists, and community activists. They didn't just seek a technological solution. They designed an entire ecosystem of energy production and consumption that considered human behavior, environmental impact, economic systems, and technological innovation as interconnected variables. Their approach to medical research was equally revolutionary. Where other species developed targeted treatments for specific conditions, humans created adaptive medical technologies that could respond to individual genetic variations, environmental factors, and emerging biological challenges. A single medical breakthrough could simultaneously address multiple health concerns across diverse populations. Communication technologies showcased their most remarkable trait. Most species developed communication systems that prioritized efficiency and standardization. Humans created platforms that were simultaneously structured and fluid, capable of adapting to cultural nuances, individual communication styles, and emerging forms of expression. The Quantum Research Collective spent decades studying human cognitive processes. Traditional intelligence models failed to capture the complexity of human thinking. They didn't just process information, they transformed it. Each challenge was an opportunity for creative reimagining, each limitation a potential pathway to innovation. Economic systems underwent similar transformative processes. Traditional galactic economic models relied on stable, predictable resource allocation. Humans developed adaptive economic frameworks that could respond to rapid technological changes, shifting social dynamics, and emerging global challenges. Their approach to artificial intelligence was particularly fascinating. Most species viewed AI as a tool to be controlled, a potential threat to be carefully managed. Humans developed collaborative intelligence systems that worked alongside biological intelligence, creating hybrid problem-solving approaches that expanded the very definition of cognitive capability. Space exploration technologies emerged from this interdisciplinary approach. Navigation systems incorporated principles from ecological studies, quantum mechanics, cultural anthropology, and artistic design. A spacecraft was no longer just a technological vehicle, it became a dynamic, adaptive system of exploration. Educational institutions became living laboratories of innovation. Learning was no longer about memorizing established knowledge, but about developing adaptive thinking skills. Students were taught to see connections between seemingly unrelated fields, to challenge existing paradigms, and to view failure as a critical part of the learning process. The most profound example came from a project addressing global environmental challenges. Teams from diverse backgrounds, climate scientists, social workers, technology developers, indigenous knowledge keepers, economic strategists, collaborated to develop solutions that addressed complex, interconnected global systems. Their computational models were equally revolutionary. Where most species develop predictive algorithms based on historical data, humans created dynamic modeling systems that could adapt in real time, incorporating new information, cultural contexts, and emerging variables. As the galactic research consortiums analyzed these developments, a fundamental question emerged. Were humans developing new technologies, or were they fundamentally reimagining the process of innovation itself? The answer remained tantalizingly unclear. What was evident was a species that refused to accept the limitations of existing knowledge. For humans, every challenge was an invitation to create something unprecedented. Every barrier was a potential breakthrough waiting to be discovered. The galaxy watched, a mixture of apprehension and wonder building with each new human innovation. Something fundamental was changing, and no one was quite sure where this journey would lead. The Nexus swarm approached with calculated precision, a collective intelligence that had consumed dozens of planetary systems with methodical efficiency. Their computational models predicted a swift, total conquest of the human civilization, another resource to be assimilated, another civilization to be integrated into their vast, collective consciousness. Historical records of first contact were meticulously preserved in the galactic archives. The initial approach was typical of the Nexus swarm's previous conquests. Massive computational matrices predicted human response patterns with what seemed like absolute certainty. Defensive capabilities would be mapped, resistance strategies calculated, planetary resources evaluated, all within milliseconds of initial contact. What happened next defied every predictive model in galactic warfare history. Humans didn't just defend. They transformed the entire concept of conflict. The first wave of Nexus assault craft encountered something unprecedented. Human defensive systems were not static technological barriers but living, adaptive networks that reconfigured themselves in real time. Conventional weapons became obsolete the moment they were deployed. Military strategy dissolved into a fluid, dynamic system of response that changed faster than the Nexus could computationally track. Planetary defense became a multidimensional chess game where every piece could simultaneously attack, defend, and transform. Communication networks merged with combat systems. Environmental control mechanisms became weapons. Individual soldiers were no longer just biological units, but adaptive combat nodes in a massive interconnected defense network. Most species viewed warfare as a linear progression of attack and defense. Humans saw it as a complex, adaptive problem-solving exercise. Military units incorporated scientists, artists, programmers, and philosophers. A single defensive strategy might involve quantum computing algorithms, psychological warfare techniques, environmental manipulation, and real-time cultural interpretation. The Nexus swarm's first computational shock came when human defenders began to exploit the very nature of the collective intelligence. Where most species would attempt to overwhelm or destroy the enemy, humans found ways to introduce complexity, uncertainty, and adaptive variables that the Nexus could not mathematically process. Intercepted communication logs revealed a shocking approach. Human military commanders discussed strategies that blended psychological insight, technological innovation, and creative problem-solving. A defensive plan might involve simultaneous technological counterattacks, cultural disruption, and adaptive environmental manipulation. Technological adaptation happened at an impossible speed. Weapon systems were developed, deployed, and rendered obsolete within hours. Each Nexus assault strategy was met with a response that fundamentally changed the nature of the conflict. Traditional military hierarchies dissolved into fluid, dynamic response networks. Most fascinating was the human approach to technological warfare. Where other species developed specialized weapon systems, humans created adaptive technologies that could transform their fundamental purpose in real time. A communication satellite could become a defensive weapon. An agricultural irrigation system could be transformed into a complex environmental defense mechanism. The psychological warfare was equally unprecedented. Human communication strategies introduced variables that the Nexus collective intelligence could not computationally process. Emotional complexity, cultural nuance, individual creativity. These became weapons more powerful than any physical technology. Galactic observation teams watched in a state of unprecedented confusion. This wasn't just a military conflict. It was a fundamental reimagining of the concept of warfare itself. The Nexus swarm's computational models began to break down. Each calculated assault was met with a response that existed outside of predictable mathematical patterns. Human defenders didn't just resist, they transformed the very parameters of the conflict. Critical moment came when human strategists began to exploit the fundamental weakness of the Nexus collective intelligence. By introducing unpredictable, creative variables, they created computational chaos that the collective could not process. Individual human creativity became a weapon more powerful than any technological system. As the conflict escalated, it became clear that this was more than a battle between a planetary civilization and a collective intelligence. This was a confrontation between two fundamentally different approaches to existence. The Nexus represented pure computational efficiency. Humans represented something far more complex, a species that could transform limitation into opportunity. The galaxy watched, holding its collective breath. Something fundamental was changing, and no one was quite sure what would happen next. The concept of human enhancement transcended traditional understanding of biological improvement. It wasn't about creating superhuman soldiers or perfect biological specimens. Instead, it represented a fundamental reimagining of human potential, a living laboratory of evolutionary possibility. Biological research teams from across the galactic research networks studied human biological adaptation with a mixture of scientific fascination and deep-seated apprehension. The human approach to biological enhancement was nothing short of revolutionary. Where most species developed targeted, incremental improvements, humans created adaptive biological systems that could fundamentally reshape themselves in response to environmental challenges. Medical technologies emerged that blurred the lines between treatment, enhancement, and evolutionary adaptation. A single medical breakthrough could simultaneously address multiple biological challenges, reprogramming cellular structures to respond to environmental conditions that would destroy most known life forms. The most remarkable developments came from an unexpected convergence of disciplines. Quantum biologists worked alongside environmental scientists. Genetic researchers collaborated with psychological specialists, creating a holistic approach to biological understanding that defied traditional scientific boundaries. Regenerative technologies pushed the boundaries of biological possibility. Humans developed medical systems that could regrow lost limbs, reprogram genetic structures, and adapt to environments that would obliterate other species. But it wasn't just about physical restoration. These technologies represented a fundamental reimagining of biological potential. Neurological enhancement programs demonstrated capabilities that challenged every established understanding of cognitive development. Brain-computer interfaces weren't just technological attachments but adaptive systems that could expand human cognitive capabilities in real time. A neural network could learn, adapt, and transform itself faster than any known computational system. Environmental adaptation became a core focus of human biological research. Where most species developed specialized adaptations over millennia, humans created technologies that could rapidly modify biological responses to extreme conditions. A medical treatment could simultaneously protect against radiation, modify oxygen processing capabilities, and enhance cellular resilience. Psychological enhancement technologies were equally fascinating. Researchers developed approaches that didn't just treat mental health challenges, but expanded the very understanding of cognitive potential. Adaptive learning systems could help individuals overcome psychological barriers, develop new cognitive skills, and expand their mental capabilities. The most profound breakthroughs came from an unexpected approach. Human researchers didn't view biological enhancement as a linear progression of improvement. Instead, they saw it as a dynamic, adaptive process of exploration and potential. Each medical breakthrough was an invitation to reimagine the very concept of human capability. Genetic research pushed beyond traditional boundaries. Most species approach genetic modification with extreme caution, creating strict regulatory frameworks that limited potential developments. Humans developed adaptive genetic research protocols that could respond to emerging ethical considerations while simultaneously exploring revolutionary possibilities. Intercepted research logs revealed a stunning approach. Medical teams didn't just seek to cure or enhance. They viewed each biological challenge as an opportunity to understand the fundamental nature of life itself. A treatment for a rare genetic condition might simultaneously provide insights into evolutionary adaptation, cellular communication, and the basic principles of biological existence. The galactic medical research community watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. These weren't just medical treatments. They were living experiments in the very nature of biological potential. Environmental modification technologies demonstrated an equally revolutionary approach. Humans developed biological systems that could rapidly adapt to extreme conditions, from deep-sea environments to potential extraterrestrial habitats. A single medical treatment could modify cellular structures to survive in conditions that would instantly destroy most known life forms. Neurological research revealed something even more extraordinary. Human cognitive systems weren't just processing information, they were actively transforming it. Each new experience became an opportunity for fundamental cognitive reorganization. Learning wasn't a linear process, but a dynamic, adaptive system of continuous transformation. As research progressed, a fundamental question emerged. Were humans developing medical technologies, or were they fundamentally reimagining the very concept of biological potential? The answer remained tantalizingly unclear. What was evident was a species that refused to accept the limitations of existing biological understanding. For humans, every biological challenge was an invitation to create something unprecedented. The galaxy watched, a mixture of apprehension and wonder-building with each new human biological innovation. Something fundamental was changing, and no one was quite sure where this journey would lead. Diplomatic engagement was never a simple transaction for humans, where most galactic civilizations approached interspecies relations through rigid protocols and carefully measured interactions. Humans transformed diplomacy into a dynamic, multidimensional art of connection and understanding. The galactic diplomatic archives contain no precedent for human approach to international, or in this case, interstellar, relations. Traditional diplomatic models relied on established power structures, carefully negotiated treaties, and minimalist communication. Humans introduced something entirely unprecedented, a holistic approach that merged cultural understanding, technological collaboration, and creative problem-solving. First contact protocols were typically structured affairs. Most species approached new civilizations with calculated caution, measuring every word, every gesture for potential diplomatic complications. Humans approached these interactions as opportunities for mutual discovery, transforming potentially tense encounters into collaborative explorations. Research logs from the interstellar cultural exchange revealed an extraordinary approach. Diplomatic teams weren't just trained in traditional negotiation techniques. They incorporated specialists from diverse fields: psychologists, cultural anthropologists, technological innovators, environmental experts, and even artists and musicians. A diplomatic mission became a comprehensive cultural dialogue. Language barriers became opportunities for creative communication. Where most species developed standardized translation technologies, humans created adaptive communication systems that could capture nuanced cultural contexts. A single diplomatic conversation might involve multiple layers of communication: verbal, technological, cultural, and artistic. Most fascinating was the human approach to conflict resolution. Traditional galactic diplomatic models viewed disagreements as zero-sum challenges to be carefully managed. Humans saw conflicts as complex problems to be collaboratively solved. A territorial dispute might be resolved through joint technological development, a resource challenge transformed into a mutual exploration of innovative solutions. Economic negotiations demonstrated this approach most dramatically. Most species approached resource exchanges as strictly transactional processes. Humans developed collaborative economic models that considered long-term mutual development, environmental sustainability, and cultural exchange as integral components of any agreement. Intercepted diplomatic communication logs revealed a stunning approach. Negotiation teams didn't just seek immediate resolutions. They viewed each diplomatic challenge as an opportunity to develop deeper understanding, to create new frameworks of mutual cooperation that transcended traditional boundaries. Cultural exchange programs became living laboratories of mutual understanding. Unlike traditional diplomatic missions that maintained strict separations, humans created immersive exchange experiences. Diplomatic representatives didn't just study other cultures, they lived within them, developed deep personal connections, and sought to understand fundamental perspectives. Technological collaboration became a core diplomatic strategy. Where most species carefully guarded technological developments, humans proposed collaborative research initiatives that could benefit multiple civilizations. A medical breakthrough might be simultaneously shared across multiple planetary systems, transforming potential competitive advantages into collective advancements. Environmental diplomacy represented perhaps the most revolutionary approach. Planetary development challenges were no longer viewed as competitive issues, but as collective opportunities for innovative solutions. A resource management problem could become a joint research initiative that benefited multiple civilizations. The most profound diplomatic innovations came from an unexpected direction. Humans didn't just seek to resolve existing challenges. They created frameworks for anticipating and collaboratively addressing potential future complications. Diplomatic agreements became living documents, adaptive systems that could evolve with changing circumstances. Psychological research revealed the fundamental difference. Most species approached diplomacy as a strategic management of potential conflicts. Humans saw it as a complex, adaptive process of mutual understanding and collective problem-solving. As diplomatic interactions expanded, a fundamental question emerged. Were humans developing new diplomatic technologies, or were they fundamentally reimagining the entire concept of interspecies relations? The answer remained beautifully unclear. What was evident was a species that refused to accept the limitations of existing diplomatic understanding. For humans, every cultural difference was an invitation to create something unprecedented. The galactic diplomatic community watched, a mixture of apprehension and wonder-building with each new human diplomatic innovation. Something fundamental was changing, and no one was quite sure where this journey would lead. The universe itself seemed to be holding its breath, waiting to see what humans would do next. The quantum convergence arrived without warning, a cosmic event that threatened to unravel the fundamental fabric of known space. Most galactic civilizations had developed elaborate contingency protocols for such catastrophic phenomena. Predictive models suggested total systemic collapse, a moment when the very structure of reality would begin to fragment. Where other species prepared for destruction, humans saw an unprecedented opportunity for understanding. Observation stations across multiple star systems watched in a state of collective breathlessness. The initial wave of the quantum convergence began to destabilize fundamental physical constants. Gravitational fields fluctuated. Temporal boundaries became permeable. Matter itself seemed to lose its fundamental coherence. Most advanced civilizations had developed sophisticated protective technologies designed to shield their planetary systems from cosmic disruptions. These systems were essentially defensive, massive energy barriers, quantum stabilization networks, dimensional isolation protocols, all designed to resist, to protect, to survive. Humans did something entirely different. Their response was not about protection, but about engagement. Where other species sought to shield themselves from the cosmic phenomenon, humans developed technologies designed to interact with, understand, and potentially harness the quantum convergence. Interdisciplinary research teams assembled with unprecedented speed. Quantum physicists worked alongside theoretical mathematicians. Cosmic engineers collaborated with philosophical researchers. Computational experts merged their insights with artists and theoretical explorers. The approach was holistic, dynamic, almost improvisational. Communication logs revealed an extraordinary collaborative process. Research teams didn't view the quantum convergence as a threat to be avoided, but as the most significant scientific opportunity in galactic history. Each destabilizing effect became a moment of potential discovery, each cosmic fluctuation an invitation to expand the understanding of reality itself. Technological innovations emerged at an impossible pace. Most species would have spent decades developing protective technologies. Humans created adaptive response systems that could reconfigure themselves in real time, responding to the most minute changes in cosmic conditions. The most remarkable developments came from an unexpected approach. Instead of trying to resist the quantum convergence, humans developed technologies that could communicate with the fundamental cosmic disruption. Sensor networks became living, adaptive systems that could interpret the most subtle changes in physical reality. Computational models demonstrated capabilities that defied existing scientific understanding. Where most species developed predictive technologies based on established physical laws, humans created adaptive systems that could reformulate fundamental scientific understanding in real time. Philosophical research teams worked alongside technical experts, exploring the deeper implications of the cosmic event. This wasn't just a scientific challenge, it was an opportunity to fundamentally reimagine the nature of reality itself. Most fascinating was the human psychological approach. Where other species would have been paralyzed by fear, humans displayed a remarkable combination of scientific curiosity and creative optimism. Each potentially catastrophic event became an invitation to explore, to understand, to transform. Intercepted research communication revealed a stunning collaborative approach. Research teams across multiple planetary systems shared insights in real time, creating a living, adaptive network of scientific exploration. Traditional academic boundaries dissolved as researchers from diverse fields collaborated with unprecedented intensity. As the quantum convergence reached its most intense phase, something extraordinary happened. Instead of cosmic destruction, the event became a moment of unprecedented scientific discovery. Humans didn't just survive the phenomenon. They began to understand it in ways no other civilization could comprehend. The galactic scientific community watched with a mixture of horror and fascination. This wasn't just a scientific response. It was a fundamental reimagining of how a species could interact with cosmic phenomena. A critical moment came when human researchers began to develop technologies that could not just interpret, but potentially influence the quantum convergence. Where other species saw an uncontrollable cosmic event, humans saw a complex system waiting to be understood. As the cosmic event progressed, a fundamental question emerged. Were humans developing new scientific technologies, or were they fundamentally reimagining the very nature of scientific understanding? The answer remained tantalizingly unclear. What was evident was a species that refused to accept the limitations of existing scientific paradigms. For humans, every cosmic challenge was an invitation to create something unprecedented. The universe itself seemed to be holding its breath, waiting to see what humans would discover next. The Galactic Conquests Assembly convened in a state of unprecedented anticipation. Representatives from thousands of planetary systems gathered to witness a moment that would redefine the understanding of intelligent life in the universe. Humanity had become more than a species. They were architects of possibility, a living testament to the potential of adaptive intelligence. Historical records would struggle to capture the fundamental transformation that occurred. It wasn't a moment of conquest or domination. Instead, humanity had become a catalyst for collective evolution, a species that transformed challenges into opportunities for universal understanding. The most profound changes emerged not from technological superiority, but from a fundamental approach to existence itself. Where most civilizations saw boundaries, humans saw invitations to explore. Where others encountered limitations, humans discovered pathways to transformation. Technological innovations spread across galactic civilization like a living network of possibility. Medical technologies developed by humans didn't just cure diseases, they reimagined the very concept of biological potential. Communication systems transformed from rigid transmission methods to adaptive, living networks of understanding. Environmental restoration technologies demonstrated their most remarkable capabilities. Planetary systems that had been considered permanently damaged found new hope through human-developed adaptive restoration techniques. Ecosystem reconstruction became a complex, dynamic process of healing and reimagination. Diplomatic frameworks evolved beyond traditional models of negotiation and conflict resolution. Interspecies relationships transformed into collaborative exploration, with each cultural difference viewed as an opportunity for mutual growth and understanding. Scientific research underwent a fundamental revolution. The human approach had transformed the very methodology of discovery. Research was no longer a linear process of hypothesis and verification, but a dynamic, adaptive system of continuous exploration. Each scientific breakthrough became an invitation to reimagine existing understanding. Most remarkable was the psychological transformation. Galactic civilizations had long viewed intelligence as a fixed, predictable system. Humans demonstrated something entirely different. Intelligence as a dynamic, adaptive process of continuous learning and transformation. Technological development became a collaborative, multidisciplinary exploration. Traditional boundaries between scientific fields dissolved. A medical breakthrough might simultaneously provide insights into environmental science, technological innovation, and philosophical understanding. The most profound impact came from an unexpected direction. Humanity didn't seek to replace existing galactic civilizations or impose a single model of development. Instead, they created frameworks that allowed each species to discover its unique potential for growth and adaptation. Intercepted communication logs revealed the fundamental difference in approach. Where most species saw the universe as a fixed system to be understood and controlled, humans viewed it as a living, dynamic network of potential waiting to be explored. Educational systems across multiple planetary networks began to incorporate human-developed learning approaches. Education was no longer about transferring existing knowledge, but creating adaptive learning systems that could help individuals discover their unique potential for innovation. Philosophical research teams discovered something extraordinary. The human approach wasn't just a technological or scientific methodology. It was a fundamental philosophy of existence, a belief that every challenge was an opportunity, every limitation an invitation to create something unprecedented. As galactic civilization continued to evolve, a fundamental question emerged. Were humans developing new technologies, or were they fundamentally reimagining the entire concept of intelligent existence? The answer remained beautifully unclear. What was evident was a species that refused to accept the limitations of existing understanding. For humans, every cosmic challenge was an invitation to create something extraordinary. Observation teams from across the galaxy continued to study this remarkable species. Humanity had become more than a civilization. They were living proof that intelligence was not about fixed capabilities, but about the capacity to adapt, to grow, to transform. The universe itself seemed to be holding its breath, waiting to see what humans would discover next. They were no longer just a species from a distant planet. They had become guardians of possibility, architects of potential, the living demonstration of the extraordinary capacity for growth and transformation. In the vast cosmic tapestry, humanity had found its place, not as conquerors or defenders, but as explorers of the infinite potential of existence itself. The galaxy watched, a mixture of wonder and anticipation building with each new human innovation. Something fundamental was changing, and no one was quite sure where this journey would ultimately lead.